So, in this video I will be showing you how to metal flake a gas tank. I got this gas tank for a little project of mine that y'all will see at the end of the video. I got the gas tank from Lowbrow Customs. I'll put a link below in the description. Everything I use here today I will put a link in the description for, so y'all can get it if you want it. When you get the tank, it comes with kind of this oily film on it, so you got to wipe that off first with some lacquer thinner, some wax and grease remover, acetone, any of that will work. Next you got to scuff it with a red Scotch-Brite just all over the ins and the outs of the tank. You have to do that or else the paint isn't going to stick to the tank. Once that's done, wipe it off with some wax and grease remover. Clean the tank real well. Hang it up. I hung it up so that I could get the first coat of epoxy primer all around the tank and inside the tunnel of the tank, just to keep it from rusting. For epoxy primer, I used this LP20. Comes with hardener. The epoxy primer mixes 3 to 1 to 1, so what you'll do is do 3 parts epoxy primer, 1 part hardener, and 1 part reducer. The epoxy primer itself this kit was $80. It's a little pricey, even though it's a cheaper epoxy primer, but I have plenty of it left for other projects in the future. So I put 1 coat of epoxy primer on the whole tank, 1 good coat enough to cover. That's all you need. You don't need to put multiple coats of epoxy primer because it's just there to keep it from rusting. Next I waited about 15 minutes for the epoxy primer to tack off and dry enough so that I could put 2 coats of silver base on it. Now the silver base I don't have with me, but it was just something we had left over in the shop. The base doesn't need to be anything special or fancy, it just has to be there to cover up the epoxy primer, and I always match it with what color flake I'm going to be using. You can mix and match colors to get different looks with your flake, but that's what I like to do. First off, with the metal flake, I'm talking to you about the gun I used. I got this 3M disposable tip gun you can get them from Paint Huffers, which is where I got all my metal flake and where I get my candies from. The gun itself is about 180 bucks. It comes with multiple tips and a PPS cup and it comes with a few liners also. I'll do a video later on how to use PPS cups and mixing ratios and all that stuff. That'll come in the future. I sprayed the epoxy primer with this gun. I think I used either a 1.3 or 1.4 size tip. I also used this gun for the metal flake, and what's really important about this gun is it came with a 2.0 tip, which you need either 2.0 or bigger to spray metal flake out of, or else the big metal flake will just clog the tip and won't spray anything. I use the 50/50 and the 2-key drag Car Flake, both from Paint Huffers. To spray the flake you need base clear to mix it with, and what I have is this Diamond BC00. This can was about 100 bucks. You can get the House of Color base clear from Paint Huffers, which is about 80 bucks, so that saves you a little bit there. This base clear you mix 2 to 1, which is 2 parts base, 1 part reducer, and then you take that 2 to 1 mix and you mix it 4 to 1. They recommend mixing it 8 to 1 with metal flake. I mixed it 4 to 1 with the metal flake, so 4 parts of that base clear mix, 1 part metal flake, and I did that just to get better, faster coverage on my metal flake. The first 2 coats of my metal flake I did 50/50 from Paint Huffers. The 50/50 is a smaller flake than the drag car flake, so what that's going to do is it's going to cover the tank a lot quicker and a lot better. You're not going to be able to see any of the silver base coat that I sprayed on there, which is what I wanted. I wanted the whole tank covered in flake. So that covers quicker, but I wanted the big sparkles of the drag car flake on top. So I did 2 coats of the 50/50 first, and then 1 coat of the drag car flake to get coverage, and then big flashy sparkles from the drag car flake. If all you want is metal flake, then that's when you'll go ahead and clear it. I'll get to that step in a second, but I wanted candy colors on this tank. So another thing we had left over from a car that we painted was this golden honey. I don't have any information on it. I have more information on the house color that I'll get to in a minute. Now, if you don't have a mixing cup that has 2:1 to 10% on it, you'll just do your 2 parts base clear, 1 part reducer, and just a little bit of candy concentrate is all you really need. You don't need a whole lot. For the golden honey candy, I put 3 coats on there, but if you, as you see in the video, I was spraying a little heavier towards the bottom of the tank. I wanted a nice fade from the bottom to the top of the tank. After I put the 3 coats on there, I mixed up some clear, which this clear I got is LVC 10, comes with a hardener. This clear mixes 4 parts clear, 1 part hardener. I didn't particularly like this clear for this project. It didn't lay out exactly how I wanted it to, so I will put a better clear in the description for you guys. After I sprayed the clear, sprayed 3 coats of clear on top of that candy. Once the clear's dry, for a few days later, I came back, sanded the whole tank down with 600. Now, you're not trying to sand the clear completely with the 600. The metal flake makes it really, really rough, so all you're trying to do is just knock the top off the clear, make it a little bit smoother. You're not going to get all the shiny to go away without going through the clear. So once you just knock the top off of it, come back with a red Scotch-Brite again, re-Scotch-Brite everything. Once that's done, you can go ahead and re-clear it for the second time, and that'll get you a nice smooth finish. I decided to put a stripe on it. Quick taping video of the stripe, of me taping up the stripe, even though at the very end I decided not to go with the stripe. I at the last minute changed it to something different, which you guys will see. Once I had the design I wanted, I went ahead with the second color of candy I wanted, which was the apple red candy concentrate from Paint Huffers. This little can was about 40 bucks, but I've barely used any out of it, so this will last me for a very long time. It mixes with base clear, 2 parts base clear, 1 part reducer, 10% candy, or however much candy you want. Just a little bit will do. I sprayed 2 coats of the red, and what depicts how many coats of candy you spray is how dark you want the color. If you want it a lighter color, spray less coats. If you want a darker color, spray more coats. I put 2 coats of candy on this, 2 coats of red candy on this. After 2 coats, I was happy with the color. So for the second clear, I put 3 coats of clear on it. Now, I wasn't planning on wet sanding or buffing this tank. Only 3 coats will do fine for that. If you were to wet sand and buff it, I would do 4 to 5 coats just to bury that tape line in between the candies the best you can. After the clear, I put a little black pinstripe on it, which I can do more pinstriping videos later if anybody is interested in that. So this project was just something that I wanted to build for me and my family, my brother and my dad, to ride around at car shows and drag races, drift events. It started off with little 90cc four-wheeler that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace. Stripped it down, put in a 6.5 horsepower motor from Harbor Freight, cut and chopped a lot off the chassis, put a tank on it, put go-kart wheels and tires on it, lowered it. Now it should be pretty fun. I'm looking for a name for this project. I don't quite have one yet. Can't quite think of one that I want to put on. I want to paint a name on the side of the tank, or maybe a number plate. I'm not quite sure yet, so if you guys have any suggestions, write them in the comments below or hit me up on Instagram. If you have any more questions or more video suggestions or ideas for paint and body work, feel free to hit me up on Instagram or leave it in the comments. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more videos that I'll have coming out. I've got my personal car coming soon and other cars that I'll be painting and doing body work on also. So stay tuned. Keep an eye out. I'm not going to say like and subscribe. I'll just put it up in words on the screen.